Welcome to Integrity Linguistics Institute. Okay, so now I'm going to choose three very tough questions from here. Okay, three very tough questions I'm going to choose, and we will do that. So, okay, so it looks like the second question, or we'll do one thing. We'll come back. How about we do the 21, 22, and 19. No, and 18. Okay, so we will do 18, 21, and 22 today. Right? So before that, I'm going to give you time to read all the paragraphs, just paragraphs. So first, what you need to do is, because we are going to select three very random questions. It is important that you have a knowledge of the medical content over here. Right. So everyone just look into the screen and you just read the content that I'm showing over here. Right. So let's read the 22nd question in detail over here. So the 22nd question goes like this. According to Charlotte Bliss, placebos are omitted from medical training because. So what type of question is this? This is a reason type question. Reason type question. Now, why is this a reason type question? Because you can see the word over here, because. For example, when I'm asking you, why were you absent yesterday? So you will tell, sir, my reason for being absent yesterday was because I had duty. So if I'm asking you, why you didn't eat your breakfast today? So you will tell me, I did not eat my breakfast because I was not feeling, I was not feeling hungry. So I'm asking you, why did you jump 15 times? So tell me, I jumped 15 times because I like jumping, right? So when you hear the word because over here, you can understand you are required to identify the reason. Right. So the reason, okay. So for what reason did this particular thing happened over here? And there is another way to categorize this question. So that is something we call as the cause and effect. Right. So this also falls under the category of cause and effect type questions. Right. So cause and effect. So cause basically means, once again, the reason over here. See, because basically means cause, that is reason, right? What is the meaning of an effect? Effect basically means an event that happened. Okay, event that happened over here. So what is the event that has happened over here? In this particular question, the event that has happened is placebos are omitted from medical training, right? So when medical training, so when doctors are being trained, okay, so when students join for the MBBS course, okay, or the Ayurveda course, or the homeopathy, whatever it is. Okay, I think they're talking about the MBBS over here. So when they are getting MBBS training, for some reason in their syllabus, in their training syllabus, placebos are omitted. Omitted. What is the meaning of omission? Omission means the opposite of inclusion. Right, that means it is excluded. Okay, so placebos are not included. Placebos are not included in the medical training. So this is the effect or the event that has happened. Right. Now there is a connection. Okay, so cause and effect basically means there is a connection between the cause and the effect over here. That is the the event over here. And your duty is to find to which cause is this event connected. So you need to identify the reason over here. That is, for what reason? Okay, because of which reason are the placebos deliberately omitted from the medical training? Why are students not taught about placebos? Why it has been why it has been taken away from their syllabus? So you have to think. So how should you prepare your brain? You have to prepare your brain by asking yourself why the placebos are omitted. Okay, you have to tell to yourself, you have to speak to yourself. My duty over here is to find out for which reason is this particular topic removed from their training syllabus, right? And we have four answer options. Answer option A, B, C, and D. And what are answer options A, B, C, and D? These are all possible reasons. Right, these are all possible reasons over here, but only one reason will be the right answer. Right, only one will be right. Okay, so now let's take a look. So now you have, this is how, okay, this is how you have to comprehend the question. When you read the question, you must know exactly what you're supposed to look for. You must have that clarity. Okay, so I'll just tell you this one more important thing. So when you are doing reading over here, before you read the paragraph, okay, before reading the paragraph, you must have clarity. Okay, so what is the clarity you have over here? Okay, the reason why this thing has been removed from their syllabus, okay, from the medical training. So before you read the paragraph itself, you must have this clarity. Then you are during, so when you are reading the paragraph, you must have focus. So your focus should be on this particular idea, why this particular thing has been omitted, right? And then after you have read your paragraph, you must use your logic. Okay, after you have read, you have to use your logic and you have to find out and you have to eliminate. You have to eliminate the incorrect answer options. Right. So now let's take a look into the answer options over here, A, B, C, and D. So what is answer option A? It is a possible reason. It's a possible reason why this thing has been omitted from the medical training. So let's read answer option A over here. So the reason number one is there are so many practical subjects which need to be covered. Right. So here the first reason is there are so many subjects. There are so many practical subjects, right, that needs to be covered. So they are telling MBBS students they have so many practical subjects, right? So they are already under a lot of stress. They're already having too much subjects. So for that reason, placebos was removed from their syllabus, right? Because they're having too many subjects, placebos is an additional burden. Okay, so here, what's there? So you have to understand. So again, you're not reading over here, you're grasping. So what do you grasp? What's the information you grasp over here? Placebos are an additional burden, right? Because the students, MBBS students, they already have too many subjects. So this is the reason. So for this reason, since it is an additional burden, it was removed, it was omitted from the medical training. Right. Now let's come to answer option B. Those who train doctors do not believe that they work. Those who train doctors. Okay. So who are the people who train doctors over here? The teachers, the professors over here, right? So training those the people who are training doctors are the professors, the teachers. So those who train the doctors, they do not believe that they work, right? Who is they over here? Can anyone tell me who is they over here? Rosina, who is they over here in this answer option B?
The professionals, the medical professionals.
No. I'll give you one more chance. Who is they here? Who is they referring to? Doesn't matter if your answer goes wrong. No problem. One more chance. If you think very clearly, I'm pretty sure you'll find the answer. Yeah. All right. So Reena got the answer. So Reena has helped Rosina over here. So the they is referring to the placebos, right? So you should be able to
Mhm.
make the right connections over here, right? So here the professors are telling that they are believing that placebos don't work. Right. So this is how, so they over here is what we call as a pronoun. Okay. So a word that replaces a noun. Okay. So what is a pronoun over here? A word that replaces a noun. So this they over here, it is replacing the word placebos over here. So they're telling the professors they don't believe in placebos. So answer option B. What's the thing that you grasp over here? The professors don't believe in placebos. So for that reason, it has been omitted from their syllabus. Right. Now let's come to answer option C. They can be administered without specialist training. Now see, who is they once again over here? It is referring to the placebos. Right. So here, placebos, they can be administered without specialist training. So this is anyone can do. Okay. So even a 10th standard student, okay, who has no training in medical field, okay, even a college student, even a small child, even an ordinary person who does not have any specialist training in the medical field, they can easily administer placebos to patients. So since it can be easily administered by anyone, they decided to omit it from the syllabus. Right. So that is C. That's the reason for C. Right. Now let's come to answer option D. Their effect. So who is there over here? Once again, it is placebos. Right. So their effect is more psychological than physical. Right. So here the reason number 4 is what the effect of placebos. The effect of placebos is psychological more than physical. Okay. So there is an imbalance. Okay. So a patient, they should get physical benefit, right? So if they're having a physical illness, when they're taking a medicine, they should get a physical benefit. But here, when we are giving placebos, the patient is not getting physical benefit. The patient is only getting psychological benefit, that is mental benefit. So for that reason, doctors have removed the placebos from their syllabus over here. Right. So those who don't know the meaning of placebos, a placebo effect, okay, it is when we are giving, that is, patients are being healed by their belief system. Okay. So for Reena gave an example in the beginning. That is, even if you're giving distilled water to a patient and we are telling the patient, I am giving you medicine, the patient who's taking distilled water, but the patient is believing that they're taking medicine, that belief that they're taking medicine helps them to cure themselves. So that is what we call as a placebo effect. Right. So here, like this, what you need to do is on your examination day, you really need to comprehend the question. Right. So when it comes to a question over here, there are 3 steps. Okay. There are 3 steps when it comes to dealing with multiple choice questions. The step number 1 is what we call as comprehension of the question. Right. That is, you really need to understand. Comprehension basically means to understand what you are supposed to find out. Okay, that means you have to do the keyword analysis. You need to do the keyword analysis and you need to identify the stem of the question. Stem of the question basically means the focal point of the question, and in this case, what's the focal point? That is to understand the reason why it has been omitted from the medical training. So like this, and then you have to go through the answer options as well. So we have 4 answer options. Okay, too many subjects, professors don't believe in it, anyone can administer this, and psychological effect is more. So like this, you have to like grasp the meaning of the question as well as the answer options, right? Step number 2 is what we call as retention. Right. Now, once you have understood this thing, you have to register this into your memory. Right. You have to register whatever you have read into your memory. Right. That is, once you have read the question, now you're going to the paragraph. So when you're going to the paragraph, you are not supposed to forget the question. Right. So you must have the ability to register this information into your memory. Right. Now comes step number 3. Step number 3 is detection. Right. That is, now you have to detect the right answer. So here you have to bring in your elimination strategy. You have to bring your elimination strategy. That is, to try to eliminate the incorrect answer options one by one. Right. Did anyone have anything to say? No, right? All right. So now let's take a look into the paragraph over here. So we have comprehended the question, right? We have comprehended the question, reason why it has been omitted, subjects too many, professors don't believe in it, anyone can administer, psychological effect is more. Like this, comprehension and retention you have to do. Okay, there's a method to do it a little bit more quickly. Towards the end, if I have time, I'll tell to it. Now, with this memory, what you have to do, you have to go to the paragraph. Right. So when you're going to read the paragraph, you have to first and foremost grasp the content over here. And also you must, in the back of your mind, in the back of your mind, you must know why you're reading this. So why are you reading over here? You are reading this paragraph to know the reason why placebos have been omitted from training. Okay, so with this intention, okay, so with this knowledge, okay, so with this idea, okay, you have to read the paragraph, right? Without, otherwise, simply blindly reading it is not going to help you in any manner, right? So now let's take a look into the paragraph over here. Now, the writer, so when it comes to reading part C over here, there is a writer. So the person who wrote this passage is a medical expert, right? So let's see what this writer is telling us in a written format. So the writer is telling the medical profession, okay, see, they're directly beginning with the medical profession over here, however, remains less than enthusiastic about placebos. So what's they telling over here? The medical profession, they are not very, very excited about placebos. Now, as you can see, in this particular sentence, okay, 1 second. All right, so I'm going to ask, okay, so I'm going to ask Rosina because I think most of my other students will be knowing this answer. So can you tell me why this particular sentence, it begins with an inverted comma? So inverted commas over here. Here, there's some questions over here, right? Some questions over here, they are beginning in quotations. As can you see can you see the quotation marks, the inverted commas? So can you tell me why exactly, these quotation marks have been given over here? Why as only some sentences? Not all sentences have quotation marks, only some sentences over here. So tell me why exactly there are some quotation marks. What do you think is the reason?
Hmm.
Doesn't matter.
Maybe it's most important.
Okay,
We
that
need to
is.
more.
Uh-huh. All right. Okay, so fair enough. But the answer is actually not entirely correct. Okay, so the when it comes to important stuff, yeah, if it is just small phrases, we can put in quotations over here. But you need to understand the reason why. Okay, so the reason why some sentences are in inverted commas is because those words, they are not the words of the writer. See, for example, I am one of the two researchers in the country who speak on placebos, and I have been invited to lecture at just one university, right? So as you can see, this sentence over here, it has been written in quotation marks. So that means that dialogue, okay, or that statement, it is not coming from the writer. The statement that is not coming from the writer, we usually put it in quotes or quotation marks, right? That is this particular symbol over here. So whose statement is this? So this statement is from the person called Finis, right? So this
Hmm.
dialogue over here, it is not the speaker's dialogue, the writer's dialogue. This writer is copying another person's dialogue. So for that reason, to make us understand that this is not my sentence, this is the sentence of someone else, they usually put it in quotation marks over here. Extremely important
Okay.
to understand. So, small basics of reading literature. Right. Now let's take a look into this thing over here once again. System is slow, I guess, today for some reason. Right. Okay. So the writer is telling the medical. So see, this first sentence is the writer's statement. So the writer is writing it. So there is no need for things. The medical profession, they are less than enthusiastic about placebos. Now the writer is using another person's dialogue. So the person Finis over here. Finis is saying, let's see what Finis is saying. So Finis is saying that he is one of the two researchers. He is one of the two researchers in the entire country. So in that full country, or there are only two researchers who speak on placebos, and Finis is one of them. And he should be invited to every single university, right? Because he should be invited to every single university. But he's saying, even though I'm just one of the two people in the entire country, I have been invited to just one university, right? And why? Why is that the reason? Because the medical profession, they are not enthusiastic about placebos. They are against it. They don't like placebos. So it is so here the writer is telling that this person who's an expert over here, no one likes him because he is in this particular field. Right. Now let's come to the thing over here. According to Charlotte Bliss. So now the writer is telling that there is another person. That person's name is Charlotte Bliss, a philosopher of science, that antipathy may go to the core of what it means to be a doctor. Okay, so antipathy is basically the opposite of empathy, right? Antipathy basically means to have no feelings. Okay, antipathy, that is, we call it apathy as well. Okay, so the opposite of empathy is what we call as apathy, right? Or in this case, we can call it as antipathy as well, right? That is to have no feelings. Okay, so empathy is where you're able to understand another person's situation and you're able to connect with them. The opposite of that is what we call as antipathy or apathy over here, right? So here, this person is saying, according to Charlotte Bliss, a philosopher of science, this antipathy, okay, may go to the core of what it means to be the doctor. Okay, so Charlotte is saying, okay, this antipathy to what? Antipathy to placebos. Okay, that is doctors over here, they are not empathizing with placebos. Okay, that is the meaning of this over here. Okay, so this antipathy basically means the antipathy to placebos over here, right? So here he is telling the reason for that is because what it means to be a doctor. Now, you see, this particular sentence, medical education is largely about biomedical facts. Okay, softer sciences and all that may get journalized because it is hard stuff that is associated to be a doctor. Now, see, this particular dialogue also, it has been written in inverted commas. Okay, and why? Because that particular statement, it is not coming from the writer. That particular statement in quotation marks is coming from this person called Bliss. The writer is copying this Bliss's statements over here. So to make us understand that, they put in quotation marks. Right. So anyway, let's see what Bliss is saying over here. Charlotte Bliss. So that is what the question is asking us, right? So medical education. So here he is saying, Bliss is saying medical education, training. Okay. Education basically means what? Training is largely about biomedical facts. So Blees is saying training is usually about biomedical facts, softer sciences. Okay, so there are some sciences that comes under the category of softer sciences, such as psychology. Okay, so psychology, according to doctors, psychology is a very soft subject, right? Soft, that is not of too much importance. Such as psychology, they get marginalized. What's the meaning of marginalized? See, for example, imagine that this is a piece of paper. This is a piece of paper and you draw a margin, right? So when you're writing, you usually draw a margin over here. So that's the meaning of a margin. So you know what a margin is, right? So when you write a letter, you draw a margin and then in the upper, the other side only we write the thing, right? So this part over here, okay, the thing that the area within the margin is the minority. Right. So as you can see, this is the minority area. And what is the majority over here? The things that is beyond the margin is the majority over here. Right. So he is telling, okay, so you have to understand the meaning like this. Psychology is marginalized. Okay, so he is telling that softer sciences such as psychology within the medical education. So within the medical education, okay, medical education is usually about biomedical facts. And since it is about biomedical facts, psychology, which is softer science, they get marginalized, which means it is considered as a thing of very little importance. Right, as you can see, it is not given the majority attention. That is, it gets only very less attention. Okay, the less attention is given to marginalized things, that is psychology. The majority attention is given to, other subjects of MBBS. Right. So let's see. Now, what is your duty here? Your duty is to find why, the reason why it is marginalized. Remember the question. You must never forget the question. The question is asking you why, placebos are ignored, why placebos are not given too much importance, why it has been omitted, right? The omission, why it has happened. So omission, marginalized, see, it is being omitted over here. So let's understand why over here. Such as psychology get marginalized because, now see, because that's what we're looking for. The reason is it's the hard stuff that's associated with what it means to be a doctor. So here, the reason why psychology is omitted is because when it comes to a doctor, they only associate with the difficult things. Okay, associate. What's the meaning of associate over here? Associate over here basically means to connect, okay, or to be with. Okay, so here doctors, they only want to be associated with hard stuff. They don't want soft stuff. Okay, so they're telling, oh, I am a doctor, so therefore only the most difficult subjects I have to give importance. All the easy subjects such as psychology and all, I will not give it any importance. So placebo over here, it is psychological, right? Now let's come to the thing. The result, says Blees, is a large placebo shaped hole in the medical curriculum. Now you see, hole basically here they are talking about a vacuum. Okay, so hole over here they're talking about a vacuum, that means emptiness. Okay, whole basically means what? It is empty over here, right? It is a placebo. So the placebo over here, it is empty. So in the medical syllabus, in the medical curriculum, placebo is a big hole. That means there is a big emptiness when it comes to the subject of placebos, right? And why is that? Because it is a soft science. Mid doctors over here, they don't like psychology. Okay, since they don't like psychology, placebos are omitted. Okay, there is a great deal of medical illiteracy. Illiteracy basically means what? No awareness, okay, no knowledge about the placebo effect. So there is no medical knowledge, that is no knowledge about placebo effect, right? It is the science behind the art of medicine. Doctors need training in that. Right. So what, so when you read this paragraph, what do you understand? You understand that placebos are coming under the category of psychology, and psychology is a soft science, and doctors, they don't want to be associated with soft science. Doctors only want to be associated with hard stuff. So for that reason, there is a big emptiness, there is a big hole regarding placebo. That is, it has been omitted over here. Right. So like this, you have to grasp the content. So this is the difference between reading and grasping. So if you don't have that ability yet, build the foundation up. Without building the foundation, there is no point in going forward. Right. Now let's come to the 22nd question. So according to Blees over here, Charlotte Blees, okay, placebos are omitted. So there is a, okay, hole, okay, there's an emptiness over here from the medical training because, okay. Now, what about answer option A? There are so many practical subjects which need to be covered. So did we read anything that Charlotte Blees? So is Charlotte Blees telling to us that there are so many practical subjects, and because of that, placebos are an additional burden? So did we read anything like that? No, right? It was not at all mentioned. So since it is not mentioned, you will eliminate. You cannot choose answer option A because it is not mentioned, and that is not at all what he is saying. Right? Charlotte. Now, Charlotte is a female. She is saying, right? Now let's come to answer option B. Those who train doctors do not believe that they work. Right. So we can say those who train doctors do not believe they work over here. Now, this we can say is somewhat, mentioned over here. Right. So as you can see, those doctors, they don't believe in it. But you can put a small question mark over here. It's a question mark over here because when we are basically reading the content over there, we understand that doctors, they only want hard stuff. Okay, doctors, they only want hard stuff and they don't want soft stuff, right? And we also read that there's a lot of medical illiteracy. There's an illiteracy about placebo effect. That means what? The doctors, they are not literate about placebo effect. Why are they not literate about placebo effect? Because they only want to be associated with the hard subjects. They don't want soft subjects such as psychology, right? So that is the reason. But you take a look into question B over here. Those who train doctors. So here, what are they talking about? They're talking about the professors. So did we read anywhere that professors don't believe in placebos? Is it directly mentioned? It is not entirely, it is not very, very directly mentioned that from so Charlotte is not saying that professors who teach MBBS students, they don't believe in placebos. So for that reason, they have removed it from this thing. So it is not precisely mentioned like that, right? So since it is not precisely mentioned like that, we cannot choose answer option B, right? Even though you may have a small confusion. So you can put a small question mark there because you kind of think it could be the right answer. But anyway, let that doubt be there if at all you are having a small doubt. Now, anyway, let's come to answer option C. What is answer option C? Placebos can be administered without any training. So is this mentioned anywhere? Is it mentioned, is Charlotte saying, or is it mentioned anywhere that anyone without any training can administer placebos? It is not mentioned anywhere, right? So since it is not mentioned, very, very easily you can eliminate answer option C. Right. Now, what about answer option D? Their effect is more psychological than physical. Now you talk, now say, is psychology mentioned? Yes. So placebo effect is more psychological, right? And since doctors, they don't like psychology, doctors don't like soft sciences, there is a big hole regarding placebo effect because it comes under the category of psychology. They only want to be associated with difficult subjects. So for that reason, okay, it has been omitted from this particular curriculum. So we can say that answer option D is mentioned, okay, since it is more psychological than physical and psychology is a subject that they don't like. So therefore, that is the reason why, according to Charles Bliss, placebos are omitted from their medical training. So you can choose answer option D as the right answer. Right. Now, even if you do get confused, even if you see A and C is very easy to eliminate. Okay, so A and C are very easy to eliminate. So you can get confused between B and D. B and D, if you're getting confused, okay, that is reasonable. So now what you need to do is you take a look into answer option B, you take a look into answer option D. Okay. Now you go once again to the paragraph, right? You go once again to the paragraph and you make a comparison. So you try to see whether B is mentioned. Professors, they don't believe in placebo effect. So see if that is mentioned. No, it is not mentioned. So here they're talking about psychology, softer sciences, and because of that, it has been emptied out. So we can say between B and D, answer option D is the right answer. Right. So how can we do this little bit more quickly? So on our examination day, how can we do this a little bit more quickly? So this is how you need to so again, first and foremost, you need to build the foundations up. You need to know why quotation marks are there. You need to know what pronouns are referring to. Okay. You need to know how to do the keyword analysis. You must be having some decent vocabulary range and you must be able to understand the question type. You must know how to comprehend. You must know how to retain the information and you must know how to eliminate. So all that foundations you have to build. And then with a very clear, calm, focused mind, you have to, with a logical deduction, you have to go and find the right answer. So on your examination day, how can we do it very quickly? So when you read, okay, according to Charles Bliss, okay, so the writer is talking about Charles Bliss, and according to this person, placebos are omitted. from medical training because, okay, so my duty here is to find out the reason why it has been omitted. That means answer option A, B, C, and D. They are all reasons. Right. Now you take a look into answer option A. Okay. Reason number one, there are so many practical subjects. Okay. Those who train doctors, they don't believe in it. They can be administered without specialist training. Their effect is more psychological. Okay. So reason number one, so many subjects. Reason number two, those who are trained doctors, they don't believe in it. It can be administered very easily, and the effect is more psychological. So like this, you should be able to grasp the focal points of the answer options as well. And you must now register all this information to your memory. Okay, retention you have to do, right? Now you need to go to the paragraph. Okay, so here also there is a small trick that I can give you. Not trick over here, a small strategy. So who is the most important person over here? Blease is important. Charlotte Blease is not important to you, right? So Finis is not important. So this entire thing, okay? So this thing over here, you can completely ignore it because for you, Charlotte Blease is important. So now you are reading over here, okay? So we understand they are less enthusiastic, okay? And Finis is saying that everyone is against placebos, a medical profession. Okay, according to Charles Weiss, okay, this person is a philosopher of science, and there is an antipathy. Okay, so there is an apathy over here to placebos, and the reason, okay, the reason is medical education is about facts. Softer sciences such as psychology, they get marginalized. Okay, psychology over here, it is a minority subject. It is getting very little attention only, and the reason is the hard stuff is what associated with what means to be a doctor. The result is, B says it's a placebo-shaped hole. So there is an emptiness over here in the medical curriculum, right? And there's a great deal of medical illiteracy. Right? There is no knowledgeable placebo effect. So like this, you have to like read the content over here, and then you go to the passage over here. I mean the questions over here, and then you see, okay, is the paragraph talking about subjects? So is there anything about practical subjects? So many practical subjects. It is not all mentioned here. So very easily you can eliminate answer option A. Now come to answer option C. Okay, they can be administered without any specialist training. Okay, is this mentioned anywhere? Nothing is mentioned. Zero information. So C is eliminated. So now you have a 50-50 chance, either B or D. Now when it comes to B option, those who train doctors don't believe their work. So those who train doctors, that means professors, they don't believe. So is this mentioned? So you go, is that mentioned? That is people who are teach according to Blease, according to Charles Blease, is he saying that people who teach MBBS students, they don't believe in it? It is not mentioned there, right? So since it is not mentioned, you will be eliminating answer option B. And now answer option D, the effect is more psychological. Yes, so the effect, the Charlotte is saying it, everything is psychological. So soft science, and because of that, it is marginalized, and for that reason it has been eliminated. So therefore answer option D will be the right answer. So this is how you can do it very quickly on the examination day. But for that, you need to build the foundations up, right? So I'm giving a small assignment to those who got 21 wrong as well as 18 wrong, right? So open the app, or the OET Exam Mastery app, those are using Android phones. Those are using iPhones, I have given you access to the website link. So you'll be able to just click on the link. You'll be opening the Google Drive website. Through the website, just go to cellulitis, right? So today, no, necrotizing fasciitis. Necrotizing fasciitis, part C, extract 2, question number 18 and 21. If you struggle with it, and as you're going to record lectures, you need to have a notebook with you and you need to make some notes. So this is how you prepare for the OET, right? All right then. So that being said, I think it is time for us to wind up.